The story of a Texas rancher and his rivalry with cowboy Jett Rink unfolds across two generations in 1956's epic western, Giant.
Now, greatness returns to the screen. In George Stevens' production of Edna Ferber's classic of the Texas Empire. Giant.
My favorite part of the movie Giant is the fact that it is a giant movie, no pun intended, yet the film's responsibility rests entirely on the shoulders of its three stars, James Dean, Elizabeth Taylor, and Rock Hudson. And what's so great about that is that all three of them were very young at the time. Elizabeth Taylor was only 23, James Dean 24, and Rock Hudson 29. So it's really inspiring for me anyway to see that a lot of great talent can be shown in at such a young age. I don't know what you call it, an act of God, or it could just be the fathering of the director George Stevens, who has done a lot of great titles such as A Place in the Sun, Shane, and Giant. He's very underrated in my opinion. He's extremely incredible. I believe he's a two-time Academy Award winner for Best Director. So look up some of his other films. I recommend all of them. Now, of the three James Dean movies that he's done, this, East of Eden, and Rebel Without a Cause, this one I think is the best representation of Dean, aside from what most people would say would be his Rebel Without a Cause kind of thing. But I think his role as Jett Rink is a lot more painted. It's a much more colorful canvas, if you pardon the metaphor. He's so much cooler, and you can just tell that he's so much more confident in his own, even though he portrayed that sort of confidence on the screen. I don't know if many people know this, but he was actually a very vulnerable person in his personal life. But I think he was really starting to come into his own here, and it's such a shame that his life was cut short the way that it was, because he was already a two-time Academy Award nominee, the first posthumous nomination, and yet he was only 24 years old, so it's really baffling. I only think about, Marlon Brando probably would have had to try harder to get roles because he would have been competing with Dean. Paul Newman may have never been a star because all of his roles would have gone to James Dean, so it's really quite freaky to think about what the world would have been like had Dean not been killed. Or maybe his legend wouldn't be as big as it is if he had lived, who knows. Anyway, I gotta say, he really does shine over the other two film stars. Not to say that they don't do extremely well. Rock Hudson, also an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor in this movie, along with Dean. Elizabeth Taylor didn't get it, but that shouldn't matter because she was very brilliant, and she's great. There's some scenes, which is why I think the film doesn't really hold up today so much, that she's defending women's rights in a kind of Texas gentleman mentality, and you could tell that she's really purging through the character, and that's herself speaking. So it's really very honest, very bold performance from Elizabeth Taylor. Another interesting scene is a certain fight that breaks out in a restaurant over a racial issue. I won't go too far into it, but I just wanted to say that I really love the direction that the scene goes in. It's kind of interesting. And third of all, a scene that'll always stop me and get my attention is a certain confrontation between Dean and Hudson in a kind of oily confrontation. I will say that and nothing more. But it's so terrific. And Dean is really he's absolutely brilliant. And you could just tell that he wants to be the best possible actor that he can be, and he really wanted to turn Hollywood over on its head, and which he pretty much did in the short span that he was around. So I know I'm praising him a lot, but I really think that he makes the movie more than anybody else. He's kind of the third wheel, sort of, as far as top billing goes, but he always steals a scene in any moment that he's in. I'd also like to point out that the film does take place across two generations, so the cast plays essentially from the age of like 1920 to their early 60s, late 60s. So it's really quite astonishing, especially the makeup and the the hair, the way that they carry themselves. It's really a great bit of acting from the whole film, the whole cast. So let me know in the comments what you thought of the movie Giant. Does it hold up to a contemporary audience today? I don't necessarily think it does as much, but you might disagree with me. And also, what do you think of that little role from Dennis Hopper before he was a freak, I guess? He was kind of squeaky clean in this one, and that's pretty much it.